Hey and welcome back everyone. Today we're making another corset. We are making an underbust corset and I have a really nice material that I'm looking so forward to using. I bought this fabric the other day at a local fabric store. It's a cotton fabric, so it's quite easy to work with, I think. And it has this flowery pattern and some subtle stripes. But today we're making another one of the Freedom corset Pinup Girls, but this time I'm going to use a corset busk to clasp it up in front and also the lace up in the back. But we'll start off with just cutting the pattern pieces and we'll take it from there. And before we get started, if you guys like this video, please leave a like below. It's so super helpful. And if you guys like these types of videos, want to see more of them, please consider subscribing. That is also super helpful. And let's get started. Started off by cutting the pattern pieces, and here I have just taken away 4 centimeters of the length underneath the waistline, and I have added 0.5 centimeter to the width of the top part of the front panel. Now I have to address one thing that I actually didn't think about and that was I adjusted the pattern pieces slightly because I didn't want it to go so deep in the front. So I took off 4 centimeters and that really throws off the measurements for the busk. So here are the lining pieces and here is the busk. So I just marked the seam line, and when I put this here I can see that it's slightly poking out here, which is a bit of an issue. I could just have less of a seam allowance. I could use 1 centimeter instead of 1.5, but that is something I have to take into consideration at least. So I've just overlocked all the pieces of camera just to avoid them fraying in any way. And now what I'm gonna do is to just sew the front. I made room for the loops of the busk where that will point out. So I'm just going to sew these right sides together and avoid the place where the loops will peek out. Alrighty, so the loop side of the busk is in. I think it worked out nicely, so we will start working on the other side. The pattern instructions calls for the use of a tapered awl to make room for these studs on the other side of the busk. I don't have a tapered awl. So what I've done instead, I just have this tapestry needle that I just used to sort of make a bit of a larger hole in between the fibers. I don't think it looks very neat, but I ended up having enough room to get this in. So that's it. It does work. I don't have a second way of doing this that I prefer, so please let me know if you have other ways you do this, but I'm gonna do this for now and we'll see if the fabric just evens out over time maybe. This isn't fitting. I think I put the markings a bit too close to the edge, so I'm gonna fix that and hopefully that will work out okay. I hope I didn't make a hole. It seems to be some sort of fraying along the edge where I try to push through the studs. Alright, so I made another hole, or not a hole, but I pushed the fibers apart and placed it here instead, so the placing it is much better. I'm still not sure about this area though. I tried to like push the fibers a bit to see, and I don't see a fiber that's broken. So I'm gonna do the same for the next few studs and then we'll see when it's all finished. So after a lot of work, the studs on the busk is through, and the next part will just be to pin along the busk edge and then just sew along the edge with a zipper foot like we did on this side. One thing though that I'm not sure about, the instructions calls for you to baste the edges and continue to sandwich or stitch or flip the next parts. But the thing is though, I kind of want to sew the boning to the lining and not necessarily to the front fabric. Because I'm using Ridgeline boning, I kind of want to put that in first, then fold over and then baste. I'm gonna do that for this first panel, the front panel, and then I'll see if I'll continue that route for the next. So I have just marked the boning. I'm just gonna cut the Ridgeline boning and just sew that in place before we continue. I have sewn the boning onto the front panels on both sides, so they should be all ready. So I think the next thing I'm gonna do is just to baste around. I think I'll baste around all edges, and then we'll continue with the next panels. I have done some thinking in terms of the boning of the rest of the corset, because it's supposed to have boning in the seams but also in between, and instead of sewing the boning to the back and then basting afterwards, I have decided to do as the instruction says and just top stitch here and then make a boning channel next to it. And the reason for that is that this is quite a thick seam allowance. If the boning is underneath, you get these sort of bulks. And if I just make a boning channel instead, then I can stick the boning on top instead, and I feel like that will sort of look a bit more tidy in a way. But I'm still happy with putting the boning onto the back here. I'm gonna wait with the boning channels and just top stitch, baste, and repeat that throughout, and then we will do the boning channels afterwards. Okay, so on this side of the corset, all the panels are in and they have been top stitched. So at the end here, this is the back panel. I am just going to fold in the back, both the lining and the top material. So I'm just gonna press these back edges. I have stitched the bias binding to the corset on the outer edge like so, and I really like not having a top stitch here. So what I have decided to do is to just slip stitch by hand on the other side. And here is the final product, and I'm really happy with this. I find it really versatile and I can use it with so many of my other garments. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched this video. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and a special thanks to my 2 latest subscribers, Le Guil Pirate and this one that I can't pronounce, sorry. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.